My sister told me I was adopted. She had documents, photos, everything looked real. I believed her. And I spiraled into an identity crisis at 12 years old. When people talk about pranks, they usually mean something harmless. Putting toothpaste in Oreos, scaring someone with a fake spider, maybe even a bucket of water on a door. But this? What my sister did to me wasn't a prank. It was psychological warfare. And I was only 12 when it happened. Let me paint the picture for you. I was the youngest in the family. My sister, Lillian, was 4 years older than me, 16 going on 30, if you asked her. Her whole personality revolved around being the funny one. She thrived on attention, the kind of person who narrated her own pranks like she was on a reality TV show. She'd do the classics, salt in my orange juice, swapping out my shampoo for conditioner, even the old shaving cream on the hand while I slept. Annoying, yeah. But it was just big sister stuff, or at least, that's what I told myself. Things escalated the summer our cousin Patricia came to stay. Patricia was 17 and terrifyingly smart. She and Lillian together, a nightmare combo. Like if Sherlock Holmes and Loki had decided to become YouTube pranksters with zero moral compass. That summer, I was basically a living target. They'd hide my clothes when I was in the shower, put food coloring in my toothpaste. They once filled my closet with balloons that all popped when I opened the door. I'd try to fight back, but they always outnumbered me and laughed like it was all just good fun. Then one afternoon, I was in the attic rummaging through old family photo albums. Don't ask me why. I was just bored. Maybe I was looking for baby pictures of me for a school project. But as I flipped through the pages, something weird hit me. There were no pictures of me as a baby. Not one. There were pages and pages of Lillian, her first bath, her first steps, her birthday parties. But for me, the earliest photos started when I was about 18 months old. Nothing before that. No hospital pics, no baby shower, no fuzzy newborn snapshots. I remember feeling off. It was like opening a storybook where the first few chapters had been torn out. I brought it up to Lillian casually, like, "Hey, isn't it weird there's no baby pictures of me?" And I swear to God, her whole face changed. She went pale. Then she exchanged a glance with Patricia, and I knew that something was up. She pulled me aside, her tone dead serious. "You don't know?" she asked, almost softly. Patricia came into the room. They sat me down on the edge of the bed like they were about to break bad news. Lillian looked me in the eye and said, "Mom and Dad were going to wait until you were older to tell you, but you're adopted." I actually laughed. I thought it was another prank. But then Patricia pulled out this manila folder. Thick, official looking, like something from a lawyer's office. Inside were printed documents, a birth certificate with a different name, what looked like social services papers, even a blurry photo of a young woman they said was my real mom. They said my biological mom had been a teenager, couldn't afford to raise me, so she gave me up. That my adoptive parents, Mom and Dad, felt sorry for me. They even threw in this line about how that's why I had brown eyes while everyone else had blue. "It's why they treat Lillian better," Patricia added, twisting the knife. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking. I stared at those papers, and the terrifying thing was, it looked real. They had used my parents' printer, snuck into the filing cabinet, photoshopped names and dates. Even the birth certificate had a little seal on it. They had gone deep. I tried to call their bluff, but Lillian had more. She showed me a photo of my mom when she was pregnant with me. Except in the picture, her belly was flat, and the date said she was supposedly 6 months along. I started to believe them, and that's when everything inside me crumbled. I locked myself in the bathroom for hours. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I remember staring at myself in the mirror, wondering whose face I was looking at, trying to find something, anything, that made me look like my mom or dad. I didn't eat that night or the next. I couldn't even look at my parents when they came home. When they finally found me crying and shaking, everything exploded. My mom was the one who found me first. I was curled up on the bathroom floor, eyes swollen, red-faced, still clutching that stupid folder they had made. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her, and in the softest voice I asked, "Why didn't you tell me I was adopted?" She froze. Her whole body stiffened like she'd just been slapped. "What?" she asked, her voice catching. Dad came running in a few seconds later, and when I showed them the folder, those fake documents, that fake birth certificate, his entire face turned a terrifying shade of red. I had never seen him like that. He was shaking with rage. "Lillian!" he bellowed. You could hear the house shake. Lillian came down the stairs casually, like nothing was wrong, until she saw my face, then saw Dad holding the folder. Her smirk vanished. Patricia tried to explain it away like it was a joke that got out of hand. "We were just messing around," she said. We didn't think she'd actually believe it, but I did. I believed every word. And that's the part they never seemed to understand. Mom cried when I told her what they said, that I didn't belong, that I was unwanted, that she picked me out of pity, that Lillian was the real daughter and I was just a substitute. I asked her questions I didn't even want the answers to. Did you pick me because you felt sorry for me? Do you ever wish you had a real daughter instead of me? And every word just crushed her. I remember how she pulled me into her arms, sobbing, promising over and over that none of it was true, that I was hers, that she carried me, gave birth to me, loved me since the moment she saw that positive test. But the damage was done. It wasn't just about a prank anymore. It was about trust, and how mine had been shattered into a million pieces by the two people I should have been able to rely on. Dad grounded Lillian for the entire summer. No phone, no TV, no friends over, nothing. And Patricia? She was on the next bus back to her parents the following morning. But even with them gone, I couldn't just go back to normal. I started having nightmares. In one, I'd be standing in a hospital hallway watching my parents walk away with a different baby. In another, I'd be trying to speak, to tell someone the truth, but no one could hear me. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, afraid to look in the mirror, because I didn't even recognize my own face anymore. My mom eventually took me to a therapist. She said I needed someone to talk to who could help me sort through what I was feeling. And I did. I had trust issues, anxiety. I couldn't even watch adoption storylines in movies without spiraling. But you know what helped the most? One weekend, after one of my sessions, my mom came into my room with a big cardboard box. She said she'd found it in the back of a closet she hadn't cleaned out in years. Inside were dozens of photos, baby pictures of me in the hospital with a tiny hat on, me in the tub as a newborn, pink and screaming, me asleep on my dad's chest, only hours old. She hadn't realized she'd put them in a separate box to keep them safe during a move when I was a toddler. And forgotten where she stashed it. But there they were, proof, undeniable proof. Not just that I was their daughter, but that I'd always been their daughter. I sobbed looking through those photos. My mom held me again, this time tighter, and whispered, "I would never lie to you about something like that, and I would never let anyone take you from me." Even with the photos and therapy, healing wasn't instant. You don't just flip a switch after something like that. Trust takes time to rebuild, especially when it's been weaponized against you. For weeks, I avoided Lillian. I couldn't even look at her. Every time I heard her voice, my stomach twisted into knots. I kept thinking about the way she said, "You don't know," like she wanted me to break, like she enjoyed it. And I get it now, years later, how sometimes people cross lines without realizing just how deep the cuts go. But at the time, I felt like she didn't care, that I was just another toy in her joke box. The thing about families is, you don't always get closure right away. Sometimes it comes years later when you least expect it. I was 16 when I finally brought it up again. 4 years had passed since the prank. Lillian had gone off to college, and I had started to reclaim parts of myself. I had better friends, stronger boundaries, and, thanks to therapy, a much deeper understanding of who I was. One weekend, she came home to visit. We were sitting in the kitchen, just the two of us, and out of nowhere, I said, "You know, I still think about what you did." She froze mid-sip of her coffee, then slowly put the mug down. "Which thing?" she asked, but she knew. She knew. "The adoption prank," I said. My voice didn't shake. I wasn't crying. But there was a heaviness to it. I needed her to really hear me. "I believed you. I believed I didn't belong. That Mom and Dad loved you more. That I wasn't enough. I spent weeks crying myself to sleep because of that prank. You took something I already felt insecure about, and you made it feel real." Lillian just stared at me, her face unreadable. Then she whispered, "I know." What she said next caught me completely off guard. I've thought about that summer every single year since. At first, I told myself it was just a joke that went too far. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. It was cruel. We didn't prank you. We emotionally tormented you. And I don't think I'll ever fully forgive myself for that. She apologized, genuinely. No jokes, no deflection, just raw honesty. She told me she'd been working on herself in therapy too, that our parents made her write letters to me that she never had the courage to give, that she kept one of the photos Mom found, the one of me asleep on Dad's chest, on her dorm wall to remind herself never to be that person again. I didn't forgive her immediately, but that conversation was a turning point. I'm older now. I don't live at home anymore. Lillian and I aren't best friends, but we're okay. Sometimes we laugh about the little pranks, the balloon closet, the toothpaste, but never that one. That one stays in its own category. It's weird, thinking about how one lie can rewrite your entire sense of self, how something someone else says can make you doubt everything you are. But it also taught me something, that I'm not defined by the stories other people tell about me. I get to write my own. And in my story, I'm not adopted. I'm not a mistake. I'm not a backup plan. I'm a survivor of a really messed up prank. And I came out stronger.